Hey guys, this is Kreeda Talks. Today we have Sonu Lamba, Director of Four Flags with us. Welcome to the show, Sonu.
Hi, thank you so much for having me over, man.
It's a pleasure having you over. So Sonu, you're a player agent, and not a lot of people know what player agents do, right? Especially in our country. I'd like to start off understanding how has your journey been so far?
See, a journey has been like really, really good so far. So for me, like, not in a negative sense, like nowadays when I see a lot of people want to become an agent, but they are fascinated by someone looking up to someone and, this is what I want to do. When I started, to be honest, I had no clue what's the job of an agent. All I wanted to do was that I was in shipping for 8 years. And all I wanted to do was, leave shipping because there you have to go for 6 months, 7 months away from family. And my daughter was just born. And I just made a promise to her that I'll never leave you and go. And I was looking out for options. And then suddenly, one fine day, I had gone to watch this match between Mohan Bagan and Churchill in Goa. So after the game, I was talking to Chetri and a few other players, and then, one thing led to another. And then they said, Jorge Mendes has made more money than Ronaldo this year. And till that time, I had no clue who Jorge Mendes is, what's a flow. Then I started inquiring about it. And then I always had this love for football, even in shipping. So we used to get news for like 3 lines, just this much. And, like, for example, this line is so clear, like JCT stuns, let's say, Salgaonkar. Sunil Chhetri with the brace. That's it. That was the news. And I used to crave so much that every time I used to come on court, I want to read about this. And I was always fascinated about Indian football more than European football. Like if there's a match, if Premier League is coming and ISL or an I-League match is coming, I prefer Indian football over European football. Because I know players, I understand, I know what is happening before the game. What the player was feeling before the game, what the coaches are feeling before the game. So I feel more involved into the game, so that's why I enjoy it more. So coming back to the question, so my journey has been like really, really good because this was not a fascination. It was my passion from my heart that I want to be involved. I want to know. I always wanted to know what's happening. Who's playing, who's not is playing, who's playing well, what is happening, how's the training like, what player is feeling what, which player is going to which club, even when I was in shipping. So I was always so interested in all these things. So for me, this job is, I can say it is almost like a tailor-made thing for me. So money, and when I started, money was not there only. And in shipping, I was making decent enough for myself. And the point when I had left shipping, I had just been promoted. I just cleared my exam. So I was just a below chief engineer, which is like second in command. So things were moving really, really well in shipping also. And I won't say that I was not happy because I always had this feeling, I always had this thing that, someone is paying his hard-earned money. I should also give my 100%. So I was fine, but I was not content and happy when I was in shipping. So I started off, my first player was Anwar Ali, senior Anwar. I'll always be thankful to him because he had a faith in me when no one had a clue. And like a lot of people think that, Chetri was my first player, but, Chetri has always been a friend and a mentor. So his thing was, I have worked really hard for my name. I can support you. If you ever need money, I will support you. But I cannot give you my name like that. Because I have worked every single day of my life to be where I am. So you have to earn it. So you sign 10 players and then I'll be your 11th one.
That is interesting.
And he always said, now when you travel for work, don't stay with friends. Don't stay in fancy hotels. If you want to start, your journey, you should, see your budget, how much you're making for the business. So, and like him, I had a lot of people who were helping me out, not from the football side, but from the business side of it. So my initial days were like a lot of fun. I can't name it, but I remember calling one of the official and one of the club, and he shouted so badly that if you ever call on this number again, see what I'm going to do to you. And I had no clue. And I've never been shouted before. So for me, it was so difficult to take that. And then, like in Delhi, there is no sharing auto. It's in Mumbai and Kolkata. So, sharing those autos in Kolkata, I'm standing there. Once this auto guy took a steep turn and fell out of with my laptop. And those times I was like, man, I don't know. Because I was, so a second engineer, just to give a gist of it, a second engineer makes around $8,000 to $10,000 per month. And this is tax-free. So I was living a very comfortable life. From there, coming down there and experiencing these not big but small hardship was a big change for me. But one thing which used to keep me very focused and I knew I want to do it is one, of course, my daughter, and second thing, I was learning so much. I was spending so much time with players, and work never felt like work. Just going to a player's house and having a conversation over food or over a cup of tea, like I'm enjoying it, but not realizing it's my job now. So that was the best part. So from there, from 2013-14 till now, things have been like really, really good. I would say, things have worked out really well. I've been very fortunate. I got some really, really good players, who trusted me at those times, and things kept on falling in place. So yeah, life has been, I won't say difficult. It's been a really good ride so far.
No, and kudos to you. I think your journey and the way you mentioned it as well, right? So people from the outside think it's all rosy because they hear Jorge Mendes' story and they think overnight hone wala hai. But no, it doesn't.
So, I'll give you an anecdote. So I was in Portugal. So I was meeting this guy who was working with a lot of clubs. So he said, okay, so you want to be an agent? I said it. So it's like, you sure? Because, agent means you are ready to screw up your life. That's a life of an agent, because there's no Sunday and Monday. There is no 6 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the night. You have to be available 24/7. And so a player will not just call you when the signing is happening. A player will call you if the washing machine that club provided is not working. For every, so the job of an agent is not restricted to just football. At least I feel this way. It's not, so now it's not written anywhere. But I want to come across as a person, I'm your one-stop solution. You need anything, give me a call any day, anytime.
True.
So even if I'm going on a holiday with my family to an international destination, I make sure my phone is open. I make sure that, I message all my players that, I am traveling, but I will be available. Don't worry about anything. Although all of them, and without fail, all of them says, do not worry. We will not call you. Enjoy your time. But, I want to make sure putting out this message that I will be there. Don't worry. Don't think that, my phone will not be switched off.
That's really interesting. I think from where you started, right? You said in 2013, 14. Yeah. From then till now, I think you have more than 20 players on your roster and some of the biggest players in the country today, right? So that's really interesting. Okay, I want to talk about something where, so you spoke about how a chief engineer gets, say, X amount of money or salary, right? And for any field, any person, there is a set standard. But when it comes to the market valuation of a player, what determines the market valuation of a player? So one is obviously how good they have been, but what are the other factors that determine the final value?
Well, the most important is how they perform the last season.
Okay.
Second, how many clubs, for example, if a midfielder performs really, really well, but then there are only 2 clubs who are looking for an Indian midfielder. So the value won't shoot up much. Unless one of those clubs is like really, really desperate, and that club fits into that team like perfectly.
Got it.
If a coach really, really wants a player, then the prices go high. But for example, if a player performs really, really well and he plays on the wings or a goalkeeper, which for sure an Indian boy will take that spot. Then from nowhere, if for example, if a player was on a 5 lakh contract, like 5 lakh for a year, he can easily go to 50 lakhs, 70 lakh, 80 lakhs.
And is it pure economics where, so as you said, right, demand and supply, obviously. So the number of people demanding will set the price. And does the agent set the price? So who takes the first step in naming the price?
So, no. And I'm talking about only myself. I believe I'll never ask for an absurd amount.
Okay.
So now I always see, how the player has done recently. And I tell my players, don't think about that 1 year. Don't think about that big money you're going to make in 1 year. Think about, always plan that, I'm 19, 90, I'm 20 right now, and I want to be a professional player playing at top level till 35. So plan that way. Don't go to a team where that you'll be fighting with 3-4 experienced player playing in that position for many years. You might as well sign a lower salary contract, but go to a club where there are more chances of you playing. Because football is not just how good you are with your feet and how fast you are, how strong you are. It is I think it's of so much of important how strong you are mentally. It's not easy to sit on the bench or sometimes sitting in the gallery for a complete season, or maybe making an appearance for a match or 2. There are very, very, I would say, they're like handful of players who can fight that now. So that's why. So this is how I plan it. So yes, our agent does set a price, that this is the price, because for example, a player has an offer from 8 out of 10 clubs. Then it becomes so easy that now we can pick a club and ask for the price that we know he easily going to get in the market.
True.
But if there are 3 clubs and I know for a career, this club's going to be better for my player, and the difference amount is not huge, then we always prefer a club where I see, a player doing better than if he would have moved to another different club.
Now, so if we look at pure economics and business, right? Every player typically is a commodity that needs to be leased out or sold to a specific club for a specific amount of time. If we look at what's happening around the globe right now, valuations of companies are going down because revenues are going down, and the same is going to happen in the world of football as well, right? And sports in general. So I don't think India is going to be hit that bad right now because our season was almost ending, right? So before, when it ended, and that's when the lockdown also started. So maybe it won't affect that much, but if it goes on for say another 3-4 months, do you see market valuations for players coming down because of that? Maybe not the biggest players, obviously, but the fringe players, the guys that are just fill up the squad, do you think their market valuations might come down because of this?
Yes. Though I would say those who have signed already, they were fortunate. Those who have not signed, they're already, everyone is taking a hit. Like most of the players who have signed a contract after this epidemic had been announced, they have taken a hit, and a lot of players have taken a big hit. So, this is how I feel. I feel at this stage, player needs to have a club more than on how much money he's signing.
True.
Because yes, it is challenging time, and it will be unfair if you demand what you would have demand in a normal circumstances from a club, especially when all clubs are in losses every year.
True.
Now, of course, we are moving in the right direction. We are, every club is making a lot of progress, but then still, they all end up on making loss every year. So there are there are a lot of factors involved. But yes, players have taken a hit, and there have not been much of complaints. Also, to be honest, players also understand the situation that it is important that we should have a club rather than going on the market value which was there, let's say 5 months ago.
True.
Yeah.
Now, so you spoke about how important it is to look at the bigger picture when you're signing for a club, right? So how important is the coach then? So say a player wants to go and play for a specific club, because one, there is a good valuation. So let's just take random numbers as an example for this. So say a club is giving a player a contract for say 15 lakhs for a season, okay, and the other club is giving them a contract of say 12 lakhs for a season. But you are in the vantage point where you see that this is a young player, okay, he's just played for maybe 2 seasons, and the coach for the club that is giving 12 lakhs is a better fit. Do you then convince the player to take the slightly lesser paying job, but with the opportunity to work with a better coach, or do you go with what the player wants over there?
Mostly it's mutual, but then I feel even players understand that 3 lakhs is not much of a difference. So he'll go with will go to the club where the coach really wants him, and we know there are high chances of getting a play time. But let's suppose one club is paying 50 lakhs, other one is paying 80 lakhs. Then it becomes very difficult to convince a player.
True.
And if a player has crossed 25, 26, then we'll go for a club which is paying 80 lakhs.
True. So it also depends on the stage in which the player is, right?
Yeah. For example, if a player has established himself, he knows that that and it is very obvious if a club is spending, let's say, 80 lakhs, he's definitely into their plans.
True. Especially
a club will not, if a club signs a player on 80 lakhs and the player is always on the bench or in the stands, even the management and owners will be like, why did you sign him? We could have easily given a chance to one of our reserve squad player who's on 2 lakh, 3 lakh contract. We could have developed him and made him a senior team player.
Yeah. So you hit a very interesting topic over there, and I was actually having a chat with Ilko Shatore the other day, and he ended up saying something that over his 8 years in India, he's never really had to go out and scout players. It's always been done by the owners or the other people. So in your journey, what have you seen? Are you generally contacted by the coaches, or are you contacted by the management of the club?
90% it's the management.
Okay.
Coaches only come in picture if coach really wants a player and the player is confused between 2 options. That's when coach, that's the only time when a coach gets in, he'll contact you, he'll speak to you, he'll speak to the player directly. He'll tell him why, it's good for you if you come and join this club. This is how I see you. This is how I see you in my plans. This is how I can develop you. So that's when. And that's right. I think it was only handful of coaches that, speak to agents, or as a matter of fact, players. It's always management.
Interesting. You've got around more than 20 players in your roster, and from what I could see online, I think you have around 4 to 5 scouts in your organization as well.
So we have, if we count reserve players as well, reserve team players, so we have around 50 players.
50 players. Now, so how difficult is it to scout talent in India?
It is very difficult. It is very difficult because, let's say a player in Mizoram is under 14 really, really well. But then there, the for us to reach that player or for that player to reach to us, there's a big bridge. So we are mostly the agent. We are mostly dependent upon these players to make it to at least to an under 18 level for us to spot that player. But saying that, we are always into on a lookout. Like the guy who's taking care of players in Kerala, he'll always under lookout. They'll always go and watch local matches. A guy in Mumbai will always go to the guy who helps me out from Maharashtra region. That guy, he's so passionate that he travels to Nagpur, he'll travel to Pune, he'll travel to small cities close by and watch those matches. He'll give me a call that, hi, I saw this player, he's just 14 and he's really good. His touches are so good. His movement without the ball is so good. So this is how we do it. But yeah, the major number of players that we sign into our agency are the ones who have made it to a certain level. We have not reached, we have not reached to a point where in a small village somewhere, a 8-year-old or a 7-year-old boy we spot and we see, okay, we'll sign him, we take him on board, then we start working on it. We have not reached that level.
So you would say the ideal age for which you're looking out for generally to sign is somewhere around 15 to 18, where they've hit that age where, is it also because of one is the availability? Because I think India still doesn't use a lot of technology when it comes to scouting, right? I think analyzing mein fir bhi technology use ho raha hai, but scouting mein there isn't a lot of technology.
Yeah.
Does it also have to do with the fact that the players are physically developed by the age of 18, where okay, I'm not going to be shocked now by what happens to this player? Does that also play a huge role in you deciding who to sign and when to sign them?
No, it does. And I'll tell you, it has got a lot to do with players' psyche also. I feel, and I'm being very honest, I could be like 100% wrong. People might say, what a bizarre thing to say. But I feel when you sign a really young player, he gets little lethargic. Like, he has that feeling, okay, I have been spotted. Now there's this one guy who's working to get things done into the clubs. Which I always tell my players that, it doesn't matter if you are an 18-year-old who's just making into the picture, or, you're Amrinder Singh who has made it to the top. You have to give 100% every single day in training, every single day in a match. You have to take care of how many hours of sleep you're getting, how much, what you're eating. Every small things you have to take care of. Because, yes, agent can put you into a club, can work on the numbers when getting into a club, can put few clauses which can be in your favor. But all that will happen only if you perform really well on the field.
True.
No agent in the world, I feel. And let's say, I'll talk about India. No agent in India can place a player who's not done well, who's doing really, really poorly. We all struggle a lot. Otherwise, there would have been no player who's not got a club who has a good agent. We try our best. We try every single day. We talk to coaches. We talk to management. We talk to everyone possible. We try convincing him. We bring the price down. We are ready to put clauses, anything that which makes the deal really, really attractive to the club. But if a player is not giving his 100% on the field, if a player is like just too dependent on his talent, then it becomes impossible.
True.
You can place that player once to a club, just depending upon his past laurel. You might be able, if you're really, really fortunate, you might be able to place him again. But then it won't happen.
True.
Because the biggest challenge in India, there are top 10 ISL clubs. Then there are IT clubs. And then there's second division, and the level keeps falling down further we go down the hierarchy.
True.
It's not that, like, in England, okay, there are 20 Premier League clubs. A top player did not have a good season. No problem. He'll go to Spain. He'll go to Italy. He'll go to Germany. He'll go to Portugal. So there are like number of clubs. But in our country, we are huge in numbers. And now the popularity of football is growing up at a much faster pace. There are more number of young players who are coming in. And these young players are really, really good, because they have more exposure to. Now, even in quarantine, they don't need anyone to tell them what to do. There's like plenty of information available online. They keep watching videos. They keep training themselves. How to train with the ball in a small place. So they are working on it. So I tell my players that do not take your position for granted.
Yes.
Every player is like this much mistake you do, and there are like hundreds of players who are ready to take your place.
True. Players ki to kami nahi hai.
In a way, it's positive because it improves our standard, which eventually improves in our national team standard. But that's the margin now.
And you as an agent, how involved do you get? So, right, you said, right, certain players obviously, so you will never have to face this issue with somebody like a Chetri or a Mudanta or a Namrinder, where they know what they're doing. But maybe with younger players, where especially off-season time mein, jahan pe there is no one-on-one contact with the clubs or the coaches, and we've seen this internationally as well. Right? Players let themselves go. They eat oily stuff. Lifestyle kharab ho jata hai unka. So how important is an agent's role over there? Like, do you also talk to them about those things?
No, we do. A lot of time I when I'm talking to them, but then there's a very fine line between being an agent and becoming their father to a young player, because you don't want to piss them off. And honestly, after a long, tiring, exhausting season, they don't want that. They don't want lectures. They don't want someone standing on their head telling them don't do it. And I would say 95% of the players, they understand it. They will enjoy those 10 days, have whatever they want to eat, sleep whenever they want to sleep. But then whatever I have experienced, in 10 days, they're back to their normal life. They will eat very little. They might just give themselves 2 cheat days rather than 4. And then slowly, when the season is, the pre-season is approaching, then they'll cut down. They'll be back to it, because nowadays most of the players come to a great fitness level during pre-season, because that's how the competition is.
True. Coming back to the point of scouting, right? And you said, so you have people on the ground, right? People who are traveling throughout the country.
Yeah.
If you could think of some technology, from your vantage point, having been here for such a long time, what kind of technology do you think can be introduced in a country like India that actually helps solve this issue of the difficulty of scouting players?
But to be honest, technology is there. There are few companies who are doing a fantastic job, who are following these players. They have all their stats, what they are doing, everything. But honestly, it's very expensive. Even like top clubs, for them it's expensive. And football, money wise, we're not there. So as an agent, we do not make that much money that we start investing so much into such applications. So that's why we very strongly rely on word of mouth.
True.
And yes, we are always in touch with a lot of players. Like, for example, I'll give a call to any of my players. Like, I'll give you a call to Reno. How are things? Is all good? Is there any good player that you saw? Yeah, man, there's this player. So I'll get these details and I send my scout there. So like top, because how much a professional player would understand a, a playing player, a scout will never, can't do that.
So I think an agent's job is also a lot of man management, right?
Yes, a lot.
Mm. And okay, how do you make the decision? So, I mean, Chetri's gone abroad and played, right? He's played in US, he's played in Portugal. How, who makes the decision? Is it a player that comes to an agent and says, hey, I want to try and go out and play. I want to try and play somewhere outside India? Or is it an agent that has the connections that comes back to the player and says, hey, I think there is this opportunity. Would you want to try
The thing is, every player wants to go abroad. Every player. You be it a player who's 18 or a player who's 28, 29. They all want to go abroad. But the problem is, there's not much of a demand. So you can, like, with so many years into this business, I have made some really good connections.
out?
And, making few phone calls, I can send a young player. But there is no point if I'm just sending a player so that everyone start talking about me, that agent is so good, he sent that player abroad. I want, if a player is going abroad, then, the coach wants that player. Most of these European clubs, they see India as a big market.
Mm.
One player going there, everyone start talking about, okay, that player has come from there. Everyone, so they are banking on it. I feel a player should move abroad where the coach wants that player. The coach sees something in the player. And it should not just be marketing. Yes, there's no harm in, marketing yourself or marketing the league, there's nothing. That's the way it should be. If you monetize it well, it will work for everyone.
Sure.
But I do not feel that you should, and I feel I should not monetize this just for myself for my, I'll be putting my player's career online. Because it's not easy. I have seen it with Sunil. It is not easy. He was the best player in the country when he went abroad, and we could see the difference. Yes, it is advisable if a player can move abroad when he's 15, 16. Then the competition is not that much. But if you sending a player, who's 23, 24, making good living for himself out here, who's improving every day, going there, and another big challenge is the price difference. A player who's let's just on an average making 50 lakhs, he's asked to play for 500 euros a month. It becomes difficult. And like I said, all these players come from very humble background. Yes, if you make it big, you can change life for for you, your family forever, and you'll really inspire. But it's a big risk. So that's why there are not many players going abroad, especially to European countries.
So I think if in the longer run, India itself the ecosystem can come up in such a way that they're getting paid enough over here in India, don't really think they need to go abroad as well, right? I mean, so one is the payment, and second, the style of football and the way the football is played.
It is very rare for any any country to do really, really well at international level until their junior teams have not done well. You will always find, the countries who play World Cup, their junior teams are already qualifying on merit to World Cups. So when so for sure, as for football development, it is of great importance. If a player moves abroad when he's 15, train there 5-6 years, if he gets an opportunity abroad, a club abroad, it's really good. But even if that doesn't happen, when he comes, he will definitely be a much, much better player.
So I think you spoke about, the importance of how the junior teams are doing, and you use the word merit-based qualification, which Indians have still not been able to do at the junior levels. And because of hosting the World Cup, we had the team there. Do you think that also once that is done, there is the right launch pad to make the step up? Like, I mean, so if we look at that under-17 team, Dheeraj is there. He was with, I think, Kerala Blasters, if I remember correctly. He was also being touted abroad, right, with Motherwell, if I remember correctly. But what are the other players, right? I mean, the players that caught the eye, right? So you had Komal. Not really. We don't hear a lot about him and where he's been. So do you think India today has that right launch pad, the step up from the under-17, under-19 level to the national senior team?
No, see, it's challenging. And to be honest, you really can't blame anyone. These under-17 players, all of them did really, really well. But then when they go from, and I think it was a really good step that, they started Indian Arrows again. All these players were together. They performed really, really well. Few of them stayed for a year. Few of them stayed for 2 years. And, kind of development they had was really good. But then at some point, you have to take that bigger step. Now, most of these players are placed somewhere or the other in a good ISL club. Now, earlier when they were competing with a guy of their age in that position, now most of them are fighting with a foreigner playing in that position. Or with a senior player who has been playing in that position for years now. So it will take time. And trust me, all these players are making good developments as well for themselves.
That's good to know.
Or,
really good to know.
From Dheeraj to Prab Sukhan to Komal, you see Suresh, like after World Cup, there was not much people had heard about Suresh. Last season, he got some really good opportunity with Bangalore FC, and he did really well for himself. Amarjeet, Narinder, Jitender, lots of players who are coming to my mind right now. They're all doing really, really well, but yes, yet they're not at that level right now. But I'm very hopeful that eventually they will.
That's so.
How focused they are, and they need to forget that we were a part of a World Cup squad. We did so well that yes, no one can take that away from you. The whole country is proud of you. But now that part is over. Now what you do from here, there's a good opportunity provided, and most of these guys, because of the kind of exposure they got, they are focused. They work really, really hard. And when going to an ISL team, which is really professional, they see a lot of these foreigners, senior players working out day in, day out. They work so hard, take care of their food, take care of their habits. All these guys are learning from them. So eventually, I'm very hopeful that you will start seeing most of these players, like Amarjeet has made it to the senior national team. Narinder has made it to the senior national team. And so like him, you will see a lot of this batch players who will make it to the national team and do well for the country.
And we've also started seeing some really young players coming through, right? We've had Anirudh Thapa, we had Sahal. So it's good. And I think we've also had a change in coaches, so a new mentality has come in. If we talk on the other side of the spectrum, so one is when they're young, they have a different, vision, and they have a different outlook towards life. What happens when they're nearing retirement? Okay. I think I was thinking maybe Chetri is the right example, and I don't think so, because he's just getting better day by day. I think he's far, far away from retirement. But what happens when a player retires? How involved is an agent in the player's life post-retirement?
As of now, none of my players has retired because it's been 6 years, 7 years that I'm into this business. But yes, now, the earlier time that I do not know personally anyone, but I've heard stories that, how players never used to save money, never used to invest, live in the moment. And now a lot of players struggle nowadays. But now I feel players are smart. And we also help them. Like a lot of players call me, what should I do? We tell them that, you should invest here, you should invest there. In fact, there are, can't name them, but few players, if I see, he's spending money too extravagantly, I tell him that, let's say, even if you keep yourself like extremely fit, you'll earn till 36, 37.
Mm.
No, so this money has to take care of you for the rest of your life. Save it, invest it in a way that, so for example, like all these guys, all these policies, invest for 20 years, invest for 25 years. I tell my players that, you guys are earning big money in short span of time. So invest in a way that you start getting return in less number of years. Invest more now. Divide your income in a way that this much percentage I will invest on myself, like my food, my supplements, my equipment. This much money I will spend on, if you want to spend on your family or on your leisures, this much money on this, and then big chunk of money should go to investment. And it should be like, no matter what, this money has to go there. Now again, another challenge is you can't really invest something big on something permanent, because the sad part about being an athlete, you're just a game away from your career getting over forever.
True.
So that's why, like 2 years back, one of this player called and he signed a decent contract and he wanted to invest 3 times the amount into a property. And he I have this one, when you have at least 80% of the amount or 60% of the amount of that property, that's when you invest.
True.
Because you don't want to be in a mess and stress. Because if mentally you're not happy, I don't think you can give your 100% on the field. So these small things, and I'm not saying I'm an expert, but over the years of 6-7 years, I have learned by dealing with so many players, and every player has a unique problem. You learn, then you try to educate yourself. Then, my friends outside my football fraternity are into different fields. One, if one is a financial banker, one is a financial planner, one is a lawyer. So, you keep talking to them and, you keep learning whatever you can, because as an agent, you need to have a minimum knowledge about everything. You need to have a knowledge about sports law. You need to have knowledge about investment. You need to have as an agent, I attended a 3-day course on GST. Because when GST came, everyone had no clue what has happened. My CA, he was my maths teacher as well. So he was really, really kind. He organized a 3-day class. And so now if a player asks me about GST, I'm very confident about it. And I'm able to guide him. If my player calls me and he bhai, what is this GST? And if I tell him, okay, just call your CA. Of course, CA can explain it to you. But I feel, because I understand the language athlete understands, I know how much bandwidth he has, in how many words if you exceed more than 100 words, he lost it. Now he doesn't want to understand numbers. So that's why it really helped me. And I'm very, and I'm thankful to my CA that he gave me those classes. So these small things, you have to be top of the game all the time.
I think that's the thing, right? So as an agent from the outside, it just looks like, player ko yahan dal diya, contract sign kara diya, you get 2 brands for him and it's all chill. But it's so difficult being an agent, and you have to know so many things. You have to be a financial planner. You need to know how insurance works, investment kahan karna hai. So what would you define? So we know for a player what success is, right? Winning trophies, signing for big clubs, scoring goals. For an agent, what would you define success as?
See, for me, initially when I started, that time I used to have 6 players, 7 players. For me, success was placing all my players into good clubs. That was success. And when the first time I could not place 2 of my players, I was really disappointed, and it used to trouble me a lot. In a way that a player put his career into my hands and I could not deliver. But then I learned that, I can't measure success on this scale, because you want to grow. It's very easy to place those 7 players. Then it becomes difficult to place all 15, and now you have 15. For me, I feel success is be true to your job. Don't lie. Like I'll tell you, I lost few of my players. When I say lost few of my players, means they signed another agent. All I had to do was to lie that time. At that moment, if I could lie that don't worry, I'm talking to this club and they are very interested, I could have retained him easily. And now, a lot of time people tell me also that, just say what he wants to hear and then work over it. And this is only my policy. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. Everyone has their way and everyone is doing really, really well from themselves. So I feel, don't lie to a player. If you talk to a club and a club says, no, it's not going to happen, tell the players that club has said it's not going to happen. I tell my players it's not going to happen in that club, but don't worry, I'm not giving up. I'll keep trying. I'll keep pushing. I'll try whatever possible. But I'll try to get you a club. But I will not say, don't worry, I'm talking to this club. If this does not happen, I'll send you abroad. Sometimes, and I understand, because new agents are coming in, players are limited. So if a new agent comes in and he wants to sign a player, he wants to take my player, although coaching is I won't say illegal, but I can report an agent. I can report an agent if he's trying to poach my player. But I very strongly feel, not that I will let go of all my players, but I strongly feel if a player doesn't want to be with me, in spite of me having a heart-to-heart conversation, telling him how I feel about you, what I can do for you, how I can plan your career better. But if a player doesn't want to be with me, I will never let a piece of paper stop that. I tell all my players, we are signing this contract, but don't worry. If tomorrow you don't want to be with me, just give me one chance to prove myself. Even if then you don't want to be with me, I will never stop you. I will never tell you no, because you signed a contract. You and I are together for 3 years. So for me, success is these small things that I feel I do. I always feel that, when I'm sleeping, I want to be peaceful. It doesn't matter if I do not make big money, if I do not make, I'll give you a story. So the other day I was talking to a few, before this lockdown, I was with this friends of mine, a group of friends, all from Merchant Navy. Now all are officers. So let's say $10,000 is almost like 7 lakhs a month. So everyone is making like really, really good money. And most of them has these luxury cars. Someone bought a BMW, one bought an Audi. So one of my friends was like, "Now yaar, tu sochta to hoga na? Ke much nahi mein hota to, money was not an issue." And then not even once, man. When I'm home, I work from home. My office is this room where I'm sitting right now. I drop my daughter to school. I pick up my daughter from school, and these small, for me, at the end of the day, it's the happiness, it's the content feeling that matters. So for me, as a success for an agent, these small things that be there for your player, help them out, never lie, try till the end to place your player, be honest, and then if you can place all your players, that's success. That happiness, that one feeling that you get when for one particular player you were struggling, and in your heart that he's a good player and he deserves a good club, and when you're able to place him, yes, that's success. So like a lot of most of my players ask me, which club do you support? And I can't, even though in your heart there are few clubs that you really enjoy, there are few players that you really, but you can't. So even if you ever see me in a match, This is how if a team scored a goal and I'm like really, really happy and excited from inside this, I'll play. If a team that I like conceded a goal, then also I'll never be like, oh man, I'll be like that. And imagine for a football fan to sit like that. It's difficult, man.
So I think one thing that goes with the job is working on your poker face.
Yeah, man.
No, but it's really good to know that, we have, like, especially you, and the word super agent is touted a lot, and I think I can use it for you because you've got some of the biggest players today in the country. And it's good to know that you're that humble, So I want to end this chat with a question for you. And what advice would you give to youngsters today? And because I've been, interacting with a lot of young people, people between the age of 18 and 20, 18 to 25, who want to become agents, but there isn't enough information out there. And so, do you need a license to become an agent? Do you have to be registered with an organization? That's just the legality of it. And if you could give them some advice, what would you give them?
So for people who want to be an agent, so there's no exam as such, but you have to register yourself with AIFF, and there's all information. It's not that difficult. All information is there on their website. Earlier, there used to be like this really, really strict exam, and very few people were able to clear it. But then there are so many cases being piled up in FIFA that they came up with this thing. Now, actually, we are not called agents; we are called intermediaries.
Okay.
So FIFA came up with this that you should solve all this issues, the sporting issue, with your local body. If not, then into local courts. So now my company, we have a tie-up with the law firm. So far we have been very, very fortunate that we never had to use their services. Because there have been no such case. Things were, we were able to solve everything with mutual discussion. But yeah, I think that's one of the requirement. And then I feel, yes, if you're fascinated about it, just don't like what worked for me, that it was not just fascination. I was like really, really passionate about it. Money was never a factor that attracted me to this job. What attracted me the most is able to spend so much time with players, able to go to, I'm now at times, something which I used to pay money to, go to a stadium and watch a match. Now that's my job. And I think, it can't get better than this.
True.
Like talking to a football player, discussing a football match.
True.
Which I used to be like, man, when did this happen? Now I do that every day. And when you're talking to so many athletes, and no disrespect, but I feel athletes are very different to normal people. The way they live their life, the way they see life, they're all positive all the time. The now and with the so much information, the way they work on their body, they're so disciplined. So I'm always into that atmosphere now. It has helped me a lot as a person. So people who wants to be an agent, it should be like so crystal clear in your head why you want to be an agent. If that thing is clear, if that's your goal, that's your passion, then it will never feel like you're doing any job. It will be like just another day of your life, and just being fortunate enough doing something that you really, really love.
Yeah, the same.
And another thing I want to say this to all young players, be it they are with me, not with me, with any agent. Success will come. If you are true, if you're working hard, if you're not, you're not cheating, you're honest, you have integrity when, there's no one, what you're doing, success will come, but have patience. It will not come, one good game, one good season will not define your 15 years of career. You have to keep doing same thing again and again and again and again. Like I'm using Chetri's quote. So one of this seminar, he said this, football is very, very simple. But the most difficult thing these days is to play simple football.
True.
So just these small things, there's no magic, there's no that secret that if you come to know that you'll become no. You have to do the same basic things every single day, and you'll improve. Challenge yourself. It's good to have an idol, but I think you should always better yourself than what you were yesterday. And another thing that I tell all my players, when the times are tough, hang out with people who, like for example, if a player is not getting a play time, he's benched or in gallery. Spend time with players who are playing. Spend time with players who are positive. Because I understand it is very, very natural. If 5 of us are not getting play time, we are all together. We are all negative. We are all talking about it, and we feel, because if I'm not playing, I'll tell this other guy, man, you're better than that player. Then this guy is feeling, yeah, man, this is unfair. This is politics. By every coach wants to win. It's plain and simple. Every team wants to win. It's plain and simple. You just have to work so hard and fit into that coach's plan.
True.
Being negative will not help.
Words to live by, I'd say. Hey, it was a very fascinating chat, Sonu. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you.